looking back at the good times before it all went down. Climbed right up on the hillside, a different view of my life. You left me running on and on, but I don't care, would you let me in? You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know you are my liability. Yeah, I know you are my liability.
You say that you're sorry. We turn the page and make up. A broken trust got you haunted. To doubting you was enough to leave me chasing you on and on. But I don't care, I will let you in. You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been.
But I know you are my liability. Yeah, I know you are my liability. Oh, what a hopeless case we could be. Yeah. Oh, what a hopeless place that we're in. But I'm your liability. I know you are my liability. Yeah, I know you are my liability. Oh, what a hopeless case we could be. Yeah. Oh, what a hopeless place that we're in. But I'm your liability.
Come take my hand, I will walk with you. I won't let go till you say so. There isn't anything I wouldn't do. Wanna make sure that you understand. You're the one who gives my life color. There is no one other. With your hand in mine, let me go by your side. Let me go by your side. I wanna stay in your sunlight. I wanna wake up with you by my side. Without you there is no tomorrow. We could be in for the best ride. Want this to last for the rest of our lives. Without you there is no tomorrow. special, yeah, you're special.
Who gives my life color? There is no another. With your hand in mine, let me go by your side. Let me go by your side. I wanna stay in your sunlight. I wanna wake up with you by my side. Without you, there is no tomorrow. We could be in for the best ride. Want this to last for the rest of our lives. Without you, there is no tomorrow.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Let's Talk China LTC. I'm here with a few guests. They know who they are. And we have Guelo60 in the house today. Kurt, say hello to the crowd. All right, Lee, say hello,
Good
everyone.
morning, everybody.
Good
afternoon.
morning, all. Good
and
morning.
Really good morning in UK.
And we'll get Matt to just unmute his mic there if we can, and we'll get him in the show. Matt, how are things over where you are today?
Better now. How's it going?
Good.
Little
So
rainy. It's getting on the camera. The rain is actually penetrating the studio.
Well, we got quite the program today, everyone, and I appreciate everybody joining. Just to give you guys a little bit of an overview, some of the viewers that haven't watched this program before, and some of the people that are logging in from Asia, China in particular. We will have a WeChat code for you, and if you can, when you donate, also send a message along so that we can read it on the show. For everyone else, you'll see if you want to get your message up in front of the panel before and highlight it, you just see that little, I think it's down there below, it's a little $sign. That's a WeChat, or no, that is a Super Chat thing, that option that you can use. And all contributions are actually put right back into this show to try to improve it on a weekly basis. So we got quite the program today, but I just wanted to start it off.
Wes, go back to
Sorry?
that last one, Wes.
Okay, Kurt.
Oh no, the what Wes had on the bottom of the screen here. Go back to the last one, Wes, please, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like Alex to read that for me because it's so small. And my eyes are really bad.
You want me to read it for you? Is it about Guelo60 being the host of the show? Really?
No, it's about Guelo60 being the most respectable foreigner in China.
Guelo60 is the smartest, most respectable foreigner in China. Yes, I've read it for you.
Well,
you feel satisfied now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
So,
much.
I just wanted to point out that a lot has going on this week. We have an interesting topic tonight. I just want to, Wesley, if you could pull up a video, and I just want to show you some extraordinary stuff we saw in history this week. And I'm going to chat right after this just to let you guys know what I think of it. So we're just going to pull up a video and let's have a watch, okay?
Elon.
Wow, we're making history again. Let's go.
We are one step by one step accomplishing what we need to do as a nation to lead again in space, and it's not just rhetoric.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Spot a Dog.
Well, there you are, a little bit of history. You know, that reminded me of at the age of 4 when I was out front of my house selling Kool-Aid and having what we call a rummage sale in Canada. I knew what the American dream was at the age of 4. I traveled to the United States at the age of 7. And I even took days off school to watch the first space shuttle fly into orbit in the United States. At the age of 18, I drove down through the Canadian border at 18 to try to join the U.S. military. Unfortunately, I couldn't because I was not a U.S. citizen. I saved up money at the age of 20 and took my first ever flight to Los Angeles, United States of America, and walked the streets alone. I trade every day on the U.S. markets, and I have a lot of friends in the United States. And there's been a lot of division, but there's one thing that I have never done in my lifetime, and that is, branch away or feel that I've ever betrayed my nation or the friends of my nation. I'm with you in solidarity. Whatever we go through in times like this is what this show is about. This show is to try to bridge the gap between, as today's show, two powerful nations in this world. And if they work together, we could accomplish something amazing together. Apart just doesn't seem to work. And I think after you see what we go through in this show today, you're going to have a very good example, I think, where this show is going. And on a lighter note, anyway, I just want to thank the audience that watches this show weeks and months. That little chat was inspired me from a few people that are important that I'm not going to mention on this show because we have a good private relationship together. And also thank you to Matt for actually making a video this week about his daughter watching the space shuttle. Very touching video.
Yeah, I love that little dinosaur. As soon as it came into view, she was like, she started crying. And for those of you that don't know, the astronauts, they took up one of their sons, I think, one of their kids' dinosaur toys. It was like a little Beanie Baby toy, and it was the sparkly dinosaur. And when it was came into view, she's like started crying, and she's like, Daddy, that's my dinosaur. That's my dinosaur. I says, no, that's your brother of your dinosaur. And your other dinosaur is here. He's really, really proud that their brother is in space. And then she got really into it because she kind of had a personal connection. She was just like glued to that Dragon capsule, just slowly docking with the space station. So it was pretty incredible
sight. What a beautiful sight.
Yeah.
So just had a couple super chats from Jim Hu. Thank you very much for that. And Shiyu. Guelo, I wanted to ask you, have you paid some people to come on and really compliment you today? Because all I'm getting is what beautiful hair you have and how amazing you look.
Well, I do look amazing because, I let it out that my wife cuts my hair and she has for 17 years now. But she was pissed off at me the other day, and she cut my hair, and she just sheared me. And I was wearing a hat, and I brought it up on a video I did the other day, and everybody says, "No, your hair looks great, Guelo. It makes you look younger," and stuff. So, yeah, I'd like to say thanks to a couple of super chats here. Kevin Williams, he gave me a super chat about 8 minutes before the show even started. Thanks, Kevin. Jimmy, who he's always in there. Love the guy. Stanley Ho and Shiyu. Thank you for everything. And yeah, when I put out, like, I always do a promo video for our Saturday mornings, and I usually put it out on Thursday or Friday morning. And I sort of called on all the Guelo 60 viewers to make it to this show this morning. And Shiyu. She gave a super sticker, super chat. I'm not sure. I get it from Miranda, and she said, "Guelo summoned us." So you know what I mean. So some people listen to me. Maybe I don't know, but I really appreciate it.
So just so everybody knows, we got Alex Absolute Channel. If you're coming in from Alex Absolute Channel, you don't see him here. don't worry, he's the man on the street today. We're going to locate him, whether he's in the city center or he could be even in a cafe in an undisclosed location in China. Lee Barrett, we're moving to you. Where's Ollie? What's going on?
Oh, Ollie's in the back end today. He doesn't come on this Saturday show live. I just want to go back to the video you showed. I watched that with amazement as well, and I think massive credit to Elon Musk there. He's revolutionized the space travel in the USA. He's doing it at a fraction of the price that the state was doing it at. It's the first mission that was manned into space from the USA for 9 or 10 years. And I think that's amazing. And I look at that and, you can't help being impressed. And what struck me is that, I remember the first shuttle mission when I was a school child, and that blew my mind. And then I remember the big accident they had where the crew got with the first civilian on. But there's a few things that stick here. I feel what a shame it was that sort of China was excluded from being part of the International Space Station. And now China have gone on, just last year they were the first to land, on the dark side of the moon, which had never been done. They're going to build their own space station, and they are also going to send a manned mission to the moon as well as a mission to Mars. And I think what's such a shame in all this is, had China have been allowed to work together with the rest of the international community on this, how much better things could have been, because you'd have had all that expertise from, everyone around the world. And I just think that's a great shame that they were excluded, because I think if you look at so many people who become political, it's generally scientists around the world who are probably some of the least political people. They sort of knock down the borders and the sort of everything else, and they work together to make progress. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And I just feel it's so sad that they were excluded and they've had to go down their own path. So that's my thoughts on that.
Well,
Alex.
We've seen some interesting things here go on this week. I mean, we've watched actually financial markets start flirting with their all-time highs again. And if there's something that
it's madness.
It's a bit crazy. If there's something that I have learned from trading for many years, is that when you have a catastrophe like this has happened, that trade comes out somewhere. Now, that trade may not be showing up in the market, but that trade might show up in the real estate market maybe 3 to 6 months from now. It takes time to work through the system. Just being outside of China right now in Thailand, we're starting to see actually people, construction companies that build for developers starting to take, actually the developers are saying, listen, for payment, do you want to take back 50 or 100 empty units? So when you start to see that, there seems to be a cash crunch on that, and it makes things interesting. Okay, so we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this program, and I'm going to bring up a slide here, and I'm going to let you guys just have a look at it. And this is kind of, runs along the topic of what we're talking about. Could there be a new Cold War happening here? Well, let's have a look from this side of it. And this is and thank you, Alex, for the, and Guelo, nice haircut, yes, for the super chat. So we're going to look at this here. It's travel and tourism contribution by GDP, ranked number 1 and 2. So once again, you've got two countries that are very important to this travel and tourism industry that are at a lockhold here. I mean, Matt, what do you think of that graph? How are you looking at that? Did you know about that before, that these two countries were so massive in the amount of money that's involved in tourism?
Well, I mean, obviously China is a huge spender in tourism. I mean, when they go outside of China and travel, or even inside China and domestically travel, they spend money. They love to travel. It's sort of like it's interesting. China is in a unique position that they have just leapfrogged forward with regards to their middle class and their white collar jobs, and advanced so far. Yet a lot of them still live in what we would consider, I don't know, in the West a little bit. I mean, obviously it's very modern in China, but they haven't had You know, like you go into the garage of a typical American, you might find a jet ski, you might find all sorts of amazing things to just enjoy life. And you go into a Chinese, well, hell, Chinese people barely have garages. You know, they live in vertical housing and underground parking lots with just cars in them. So I've known Chinese guys and ladies that are enjoying doing like paragliding and going to the most exclusive scuba diving spots and traveling and doing the most exotic things and mountain climbing. I'm a bit of a climber, so I keep going. And the Chinese groups dominate the industry of tourism almost everywhere I go. The downside to that is they tend to not have the etiquette quite yet for some of the things that are a little bit more sensitive, and like scuba diving and whatnot. Like you go to dive centers in Southeast Asia, and you'll always have dive masters that are like, "Don't touch the coral, God damn it! Don't touch the coral; it's gonna kill the damn coral." And they're like, "Oh, this is nice. Oh, that's nice too." You know, I mean, it's a lesson that they've got to learn. You know, but yeah, they are rocking and rolling with regards to tourism, and they're just growing. I mean, they're on an upward trend because their economy allows for it.
When I attend the VAT refund line in Thailand at the airport,
yeah, geez,
it's and you know it's funny because a lot of people say, well, they
how
don't
long
buy
are those
me.
receipts? Those receipts are like this long.
I pointed out in one of my videos that I had when I was going to Chongqing. I actually was in the line and I said, you know, what are you guys buying? Oh, we're buying, you know, and these are luxury items. I mean, a lot of these are luxury
Coach,
items.
Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mean, all brand names. So, I mean, it's, you know, they're driving the forces. And, you know, it was interesting because everybody wonders why they say, well, not too many Chinese travel. Well, this year it's about 300 to 400 million pre-CV. And it's a lot to do with actually other countries that have restrictions on the visa, right? Like, you know, Thailand opened up its visa policy to China and said, come on in, you don't need, you can either get it on arrival or, you know, you can come without it. And a lot of these other countries that have this visa in place for Chinese, it can become quite difficult. I'm going to bring up one more little graph here. And maybe we can just have a look at it again here. So this is the countries most reliant on tourism. And let me just see if I can, under that logo is 1 million, okay? Under the Let's Talk China logo. And then as you go over to the green, you know, it just talks about population. But what this is really getting, bringing to the attention is countries, you know, especially
Jamaica,
the Caribbean, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's almost against the wall, some of these countries. You know, the Maldives, the thousands of jobs that, you know, and we're feeling it here in Thailand for sure. Okay, so, you know, guys, I'm going to continue to move on, and we're going to talk about the dominance of the United States. And once again, the theme of this whole show is kind of around the Cold War idea. But let's have a look at this. If I can just get that full screen and get us off the screen. How do we get us off?
I gotta like that. It looks like I am a monster. I'm half Alex and half me.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So for the panel, guys, just have a look at this. And this is, yeah. Okay, there. Okay, so if you look at this graph here, this is quite interesting. And this looks at the percentage of companies by sector. And it's America has 44% of the worldwide market there, materials, industrials, consumer, discretionary, infotech. I was quite surprised to see the infotech at 73% and the healthcare at 65%. So, I mean, you know, once again, quite interesting numbers. Now, one more thing I'm going to bring up, and I'm going to bring up, as you guys know, you know, we're going through a lot of times here where the economy is being stretched, but there are some winners, and here are the losers during this time here. You know, the biggest losers are, you know, I guess they would be. I wouldn't think Tim Hortons would be losing. Coffee, guys.
Oh, North Face, my darling North Face.
Dunkin' Donuts, you know. And Under Armour, I mean, these are, they call them the fastest declining brands now. Shocking aside, but here are
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Go back to that previous one.
Yeah.
Go back to that previous one. Now, if you go into the largest malls in China or even the smaller ones, you will find all of those stores except for Tim Hortons and MS. I don't know M&S, but you will find
M&S is a British company. They pulled out of China, actually.
But they have everything: H&M, Subway, Burberry, North Face, Dunkin' Donuts are in China, Uniqlo.
Yeah, there was a Tim Hortons in
bustling.
Shanghai. There's a Tim Hortons in Shanghai.
Canadians.
I'm just saying
probably a Jim
Hortons. I'm just saying that in tying in with a potential Cold War, you know who's going to rescue a lot of those, or are going to be supplying a lot of products from those companies. They're going to rescue them from those negatives. Is going to be China. You know, China's going to be a big buyer for a lot of those.
And that's why I just going to hammer this point and continue to hammer it on that. You know, if both of these countries work together, I mean, they could really take on the world here. You know, quite well. They already do. Now let's have a look at the fastest growing. And this is the retail brands. JD.com for China. That's pretty amazing. We have I guess Alibaba or AliExpress. That also owns, I think, Taobao. Am I correct?
Correct.
On that?
Yeah. They actually own a huge amount of. They have about 20 companies under the Alibaba umbrella. That they're into everything. You know, food delivery, e-commerce, finance. They're huge.
Lululemon is growing huge in China. There's a lot of drive for Lululemon.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So something I think's kind of interesting is that if you look at the performance of some of these companies, all these big e-commerce companies have really, you know, gained on the back of COVID here, because a lot of people switched to order, you know, the Tencent to the JD.coms. Tencent because everybody started playing games and they're big into online gaming. You know, Alibaba and JD because they have, you know, Alibaba also has a supermarket chain which deliver. I can't think of the name. Matt, you might know that one. I can't remember the name of them now.
I'm sorry.
The Alibaba's online supermarket that delivers food.
Taobao.
No. The food one.
I mean, I
know what you're talking about.
You know, we can be at sort of 8 o'clock in the evening. Oh, we've got no cola in the fridge. Oh, we just get on an app. 30 minutes later, it's at the door, you know, and you can order like 6 cans and it doesn't cost you any extra for delivery. It's just like blows your mind, that does. It's just fantastic. But the shares of these companies will perform really well because they've had such good, you know, performance over this COVID time.
So Lee, if you ordered right now a can of 2 cans of, well, what do you guys want? Guelo, what do you want?
Yeah, Coca-Cola, anything.
What does Guelo want? 2 cans of? Oh, geez.
That's
a hard one to answer.
Don't put me on the spot here. It's 9 o'clock.
I wonder, because we don't see here on the retail, but I wonder on alcohol. I wonder how the alcohol quarterly reports are going to come out. That could be Anheuser-Busch could be very interesting. So guys, we're going to carry on here, and I'm going to bring up another chart that's quite, I think it's quite interesting here. What does this? Okay, so this is what we call, if China were to suddenly stop selling any of the 18 to 23 metals the U.S. deems critical to their economy or defense, the U.S. economy would be in serious trouble. So I'm going to bring up these metals just to show you guys, and here they are here. And interesting, I didn't know that, but China is
rare
quite a
earth
supplier.
metals,
And what they're concerned about, I think, is, you know, a lot of these parts that are needed for these semiconductors. So this whole supply chain, you know, when we hear this on the media that, you know, trade wars, we hear, you know, sanctions, you know, we hear all sorts of things like that. But if you look at it, I mean, these economies are so connected. They're so connected. Whether they're buying minerals from each other, shipping durable goods, the tourism industry. That's why I'm slowly coming to the conclusion that, you know, this is not going to be possible. No one's going to come out of this thinking that, you know, they're going to be to be able to get away with this. That's for sure.
Well, Alex, I think we realize today that anything is possible. Whether it's right or wrong, it's possible.
Tell me what you mean by that, Matt.
Well, I mean, how possible would you think that we'd have a reality show?
Can you guys hear me? I think I'm breaking up.
Guelo, yeah, we hear you. Hang on, Matt. We'll just finish his chat here for 1 second, then we'll bring you in, Guelo.
I'm just saying that how real would you think is happening in the United States right now? It runs counter to everything that the United States stands for. Their reaction to the COVID created a balloon in death and a huge unemployment, which we're fighting back against as Americans try to get back online. Meanwhile, cops are kneeling on necks of the disenfranchised and the whole world. The whole world, according to the United States right now, and spreading out to different places, is going crazy. Who would have said that? It just goes to show that countries do things that are counterintuitive all the time. I could definitely see. For sake of his reelection or for sake of some political or financial gain of a few, them to cut off the United States or cut off China and say, to hell with everything. And what would that mean? It would mean that the goods that we buy in the United States and Walmart are going to double in price, and that, just a shockwave will spread across the Western world and the Eastern world. The whole thing's going to be messed up. But, to say that it's counterintuitive is true. To say that it's impossible to happen is I've thrown away the word it's impossible. Anything's possible today.
It is, yeah. It's crazy,
I mean, I also noticed that came to Europe, Lee. I mean, London started to have a protest as well. And Guelo will come up to
Amsterdam,
you in a second.
Paris.
Yeah, everywhere around the world. Luckily, it's not got sort of violent in other countries. But I think the George Floyd thing was just the spark. I think there's a lot of anger underlying in America at the moment, and they're kind of releasing that anger. And I think a lot of it is not over just the George Floyd incident. I think that was kind of the final spark that lit the fire. I think there's a lot of underlying reasons. As we said before, they've got a lot of unemployed. Interestingly, actually, the figures out yesterday were a bit of a surprise because they added about 2.5 million jobs, didn't they? In
they sure
the last
surprised
quarter
one guy
or something. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Trump's loving it because the stock markets are too high. Whether it will stay there or not is a different story. Because I do think there's a massive hit coming to Western economies. That there must be. And I think what a lot of people forget is that they will keep suggesting, China's going to have a big hit to their economy. But as Matt said earlier, there are a huge amount of middle, the middle class in China now is probably bigger than the whole of the population of the USA. So once they get confidence back and they've got this kind of like a pent up sort of want to start to spend again by these middle class. These are the kind of women who love their designer handbags. They're out there, they'll buy expensive clothes. Once that starts again, China's economy will really, because a lot of China's economy now, GDP, is from internal consumption. Over the last sort of 10 years, they rely less and less on export. At one time, most of their economy was based around export, but that's really sort of started to go the other way now. And you look at that the sort of spending power of the population here. So that's why I think it'll be less of an issue. And I think, like back in 2008, the world economy will be kind of rescued to some extent by the Chinese over the next couple of years. It will be down to the Chinese engine to kickstart that world's economy. Not only that, but the government are talking about, they've just announced some absolutely massive project to turn Hainan Island into a free port, and there'll be huge infrastructure spending there. Billions upon billions of dollars, and this will all kickstart that economy. And I think the world needs China right now to do that.
So I'm going to move to Kurt. Kurt, this super chat just came in from Corrupted.
And thank you, Corrupted.
And thank you very much for that contribution. It says, Matt and crew, is it safe for an American to live in China now? We're going to start with you, Kurt. I'm a mid-aged, semi-retired, and would only be living in, I believe that's Shenzhen, China, and not working. I was there before, but I left in December 2018 due to the politics heating up. Are there any risks to living there now? I mean, Kurt, you maybe can give people a background.
No, there's no risks at all. China's probably one of the safest places in the world for anybody. Doesn't matter where you're from, and it always has been, and it probably always will be. But I'd like to get back to what you and Lee were saying about China being the savior of the world, and you get the United States, you get Australia, you get all of these different countries putting sanctions against China. But you see, they don't just put sanctions against China. You've got the United States putting sanctions against Venezuela, embargoes and sanctions against Cuba, against Russia, against Syria, against about 30 different countries around the world. They've even got sanctions against Haiti and Fiji, sanctions against the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. So they do this to punish. If you don't become a democratic country like us, we're going to punish you. But they didn't understand that China had an economy the size of what it does, and to put sanctions, embargoes, whatever against China is not going to change the ideology of that country, where it totally destroyed Venezuela. Syria, well, there was a lot of stuff at play there. It burnt down the USSR back in the Reagan days. But China's a different beast, and everybody's waiting for China to fold, and it's just not going to happen, because what they will do, as Lee said, is they'll just perk up the domestic consumption. We were driving down the street last night, and in Nanning City, the government of Nanning City, or of Guangxi province, actually has brought in a new rule where they took the street vendors off the street. Okay, well, because there was shops that are open and they pay licenses and whatever. But now because they want to help kickstart the economy a little bit more, they're allowing these people can go out and make some money and have the money roll around in the country. See, they don't do it like the United States or Canada, where you have all of these rules and regulations. They switch those rules on a daily basis if they see it's good for the people. And the people in the United States, as Lee says, are angry. The government of the United States is all for big business, big corporations. And that's what they bolster, saying, "Oh, it'll trickle down to the people," but it never does, and it hasn't. You see, 30 years ago with the Rodney King stuff in 1992, you're seeing the same stuff right now in 2020, where the people they're poor, they're pissed off, they're not happy. And then you look at China, on the other hand, the people are getting happier and happier. A lot more people have money. A lot more people own their own home, have a car. So the idea of using economic pressures against China to change China in a Cold War sort of thing that they did with the USSR, it's just not going to work. Militarily, they've got the United States has over 800 military bases in the United States and around the world. 800 of these things. You know what I mean? Like, they've got 23 bases in China. They've got 20 in the Philippines. They've got 15 in South Korea. And you say they're not surrounding China? Well, I beg to differ. But you take half of those and you take that money and you put it into infrastructure, into education, employment in the United States. That's what they have to do. They're punishing other people or pointing fingers at other countries rather than pointing a finger at themselves, saying, geez, rather than world dominance, maybe, Inky and the Brain, the two mice, I don't know if you guys know about Inky and the Brain. The brain is always trying to take over the world, but the idea is you're spending your money in the wrong direction. And it's creating Cold Wars with 30 different countries. And China's just one of those countries that they have sort of a Cold War attitude towards, because China doesn't want the democratic way of government. And they fought up to 1949. A lot of people died to get the government that they have in place, and they're okay with it. That's my spiel. How's that?
Corrupted. I want to comment on the Corrupted. He gave us a lot of money, a really big super chat. He obviously really wants. He really wants a clear answer. I am not as glass as full as Goylo. Goylo is a very glasses full kind of guy, and that is very nice. But I think
unless I've already drank it.
I think that to say that China's always going to be safe for everybody, I think that's a statement that it's a little bit too much. I think that China is very safe for many people. I think that if you left in 2018 and came back today, you'd see China has evolved a considerable amount. Is it safe? I think for most people, it is very safe. If you do come back, obviously you've been here already. You got to check the visa rules because things have changed and things have evolved in that aspect. If you were moving to Shenzhen, and for those of you that don't know, Shenzhen is an extremely modern city. And I think if you came back to Shenzhen, you would love it. If I moved anywhere in China and I like rewound the clock and I could move to China again for the first time, I would like to move to Shenzhen because it's just an eclectic city full of so many different people. But I also think that the reality of living in China is that you're living in a country with a set of rules and laws. And some of those rules you've got to abide by. I mean, if you want to become a revolutionary, then I don't know if China is going to be the best place for you. If you want to start your own church, and I'm just being honest, if you want to come to China and do some of the things that might be available to you in other countries, you have to take a step back and examine those things. If you want to come here and live a comfortable life, fairly inexpensively for now, we'll see what happens with whatever this Cold War does, but potentially, then I think it's a great opportunity to come. But you just have to understand that you're living under the laws of another country. And if you can do that, I think that coming back to Shenzhen, you would be very, very happy. You just got to understand what you're walking into and the country that you're living in, the rules of that country. Just same thing if you wanted, you could move to Iran. Iran is an extremely beautiful and comfortable and happy place, even though it's painted so negatively in the press. I have a lot of friends that live there, and obviously there's different sort of socioeconomic things, but I think the world is extremely open if you're open to the world. And so I just want to make sure that you understand, if you go to China and you just want to live out a beautiful retiree life and you just want to plug in and talk to amazing people and have wonderful interactions in a city that's very modern, then I think Shenzhen is a really, really good place to go. But don't make sure you're not wearing those rosy glasses. And I think you're asking that question it tells me that you're not. So keep asking questions and come on back.
Well, thanks, Matt. Lee, I'm going to go to you. You have a few super chats that unfortunately don't show up on our screen due to the technical issues that we've been trying.
That's a good question.
For a couple of weeks. I put this under my, it was a question from one of your viewers, but to get it on the screen, I put it on my chat. And just want to let everybody know who's moderating the chats. This is open discussion. This is a show about trying to understand both sides. This isn't a right or wrong. This is more of a healthy debate. So please, moderators, leave it wide open unless it gets really nasty in these chat forums and stuff like that. Let's have some good, healthy chat, and let's see how we can move forward to help both of these nations that have had a hell of a last few months here. Lee, I'm going to you now to address a few super chats. Ollie's brought it to my attention, so here we go.
Sure. So yeah, that's this question that's on the screen now. So it's if war started, would you stay and support China? So okay, so this is kind of similar to the COVID situation where myself and Ollie, we decided to stay here. And that was against a lot of our family saying, no, you need to come back, you need to come back. And at that point, both me and Ollie suffer from asthma. So we thought it was more dangerous to travel putting ourselves in sort of undue risk by traveling on planes and buses and coaches and that. So we actually decided to stay here now. As a thing about war, that is a very, very tricky question. I think my answer to that, I would stay here as long as it was safe. Obviously, from a human nature, you're going to move to an area which is safest for you and your family. So I guess if it did turn into a hot war, which I very much doubt, but there's a possibility, there's a slight possibility. I guess there would be areas in China that would be targeted more than others. And I guess the answer to that, I would probably stay here. But I would probably temporarily move to an area of China, maybe a rural area that was at less risk of being attacked. Because let's face it, you've got to weigh up this. You risk being killed by just driving your car. If you sort of, there's many people say, I'm not going to go on an aeroplane because it's dangerous. But when you look at the statistics, you're safer in an aeroplane than you are driving on a highway, statistically. And I think that's the same as war. There will be areas of China which statistically you'll be far safer than others. So that's my answer to that. And I'd be interested in what other panel members, how they would answer that question. So over to Alex, Guelo.
Let's go with Matt.
I'm American. Yeah.
Matt, let's go with Matt, and then I'm over to you, Guelo, okay?
Yeah. I've been asked that question, in some exotic ways. You Chinese commie, where are you going to go when the shit hits the fan? I don't know, man. I think you fight based on your ideology, right? I tried to be in the Coast Guard, but that was about as far in the military as I got when I was younger. And I'm sort of glad that I never was able to, never had the push to one side or the other. I've kind of had to choose my mind and choose my ideology. So I think if I was living in Nazi Germany, I would have gotten the hell out of Dodge. And, I would have been probably, trying to do whatever I could to help, that fight. That is a fight against evil, you know what I mean? But this, if America decided to attack, or the West decided to attack China over some virus that got released, or, on the world from here to there, I would not be able to stomach killing my friends or being part of something that kills my friends here or killing my friends in America. It would be, I would do like, I used to play craps. I was a craps dealer. At the end, like when the dealer wants to check out, he always does this. And he shows his hands, he's like, I'm out. And so I think I would probably, I'm on a mission to cycle around the world and see the goodness in things. So I would probably take my family somewhere outside of China. And I don't agree. I don't think it's going to get there, first of all. But if it was to get there, I don't know. I don't see the patriotic cause as an American to try to come here and make a ruckus so that some guy can cover up his mismanagement and a bunch of rich people can get richer, because that's pretty much what would happen.
I guess this one's directed at me from Simon Barnes. You'd be picking up a rifle and hitting the front lines. Yeah, Alex. Okay, so interesting. If they would let me, as a 50-year-old now, maybe that would be quite interesting. I could try, depending on what it's for. My family has a military background. My father was in the Canadian Navy, and my grandfather died in the Atlantic by a German U-boat back in the mid to early 1940s. And every year we have Remembrance Day in Canada, and I do know the sacrifice of what people do and take in countries. I'm not sure that we're going to have to go to those extremes, but this could be another type of Thanks, Wesley, for that. This could be a new type of war, and I don't think it's going to be fought on the battlefield. It could be fought digitally, electronically, something like that. I'm not sure if everybody is fixated on this, arms. I think both countries would destroy themselves. I have a guy in one of my chats right now, Mogman, and please, everybody, let Mogman speak. He's talking. I think he might be in the service or something like that. But let him have his say, and that's what these chats are all about. It's not U.S. against China, China against the U.S. We're here to try to understand what's going on in this world. We've had a global shutdown. I'm not sure if everybody can just fathom what's just happened on this planet, but this entire Earth has been shut down completely for about 3 to 4 months. And as we're coming out of this, nations are going to have a hard time, as Lee was mentioning before. It's going to be extremely hard. Kurt, I'm coming to you, and we're going to bring somebody into the stream here as well. And thank you for that, putting that super chat, Simon. Maybe, Simon, you could drop me a message. Love to have a chat with you sometime. That would be great. Let's bring in Alex Absolute. Alex, welcome to the program.
Hey, morning, Alex. Guys. How's it going?
Hey, morning, Alex.
What location are you at?
I'm in my school's office at the moment. You can probably hear there's a bit of a terrible echo, but it seems the best place, nice and quiet. Outside today is awful weather, and unfortunately, all of the nice-looking businesses are not open at this time in the morning. So we're just coming straight from the school's office. Just had to have some early morning meeting type thing. So yeah.
Tell us what's your plans for the rest of the day, Alex? As you dedicated some time to us, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. I've got classes to teach. I've got family stuff to do. All the kind of good stuff. I've got some videos to make and edit. I've been kind of procrastinating this week about stuff, and I've got a lot of videos that have now backlogged, so I've got a lot of editing to plow through. But yeah, overall, not too bad. Not too bad.
Thank you. Sorry, Alex. Thank you for joining the panel, and we're just going to put you in the seat with all of us here. Does anybody want to continue to add to that? Kurt, do you have a comment that you'd want to bring into this?
Sure. Well, I don't think that it's really going to turn into a hot war or anything like that. I think it's going to be a showdown, a struggle more for, active competition in technology, manufacturing, trade infrastructure, artificial intelligence, for those markets, maybe military superiority, as you know, the United States has, the most up-to-date military in the world. But then again, China's military is larger. They've got over 2 million people in their Army, Navy, Air Force type thing. So I think that's where you're going to see it's going to be more saber rattling in the military world. But I think what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is you're going to see super competition between China and the Five Eyes countries, not just the United States, but you're talking Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the UK, and the United States, and probably the sixth eye is India. Sort of coming into it as you watch the Indian mainstream media taking the American Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? But it'll come down to who is the best, who does it the best, who makes the best products, who has the best prices, who has the best delivery system for those products. That's who's going to come out on top of this, and everybody else will just sort of have to kowtow to that. So I really don't think that.
I think personally, it's all down to the consumer. I think the consumer is the person that has the power here, because as much as people like all of the ideals, many people will still buy things that they want regardless of where they're from. It's why essentially a lot of the stuff people saying they want to remove factories from China and stuff is just an empty threat, because they want to buy stuff, and people want stuff for cheap prices. They want the price, and they want that more than a lot of the time than their ideals that they're spouting out. So I think I think the consumer has a large role to play in all of this situation. People that are the buyers are the people that can provide arguably a largest influence, I think.
And you have 1.4 billion consumers
exactly
in China. But it's not just the 1.4 billion Chinese consumers. It's every Chinese person around the world.
Even people that
and there's a lot of them out there, so they're all sort of patriotic to China also.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of non-patriotic to China people that would be saying, "Oh, China this, China that," but they'll buy a DJI drone, or they'll buy something which is essentially made from China, and it's kind of mind blowing. You're saying I hate this, but then you're gonna go and buy from that same thing. It doesn't make any sense, right?
So
because it's better and it's cheaper.
That's a very good point. And Alex, before you joined the program earlier, we were talking about the dominance of U.S. companies as well, which is good. So both companies win. I mean, whether it's selling the actual packaged good to the end consumer, or selling rare earth, or even assembly or manufacturing, we were showing that both countries together are amazing, but there's this divide, and we're trying to understand what is bringing this division. It can, of course, be geopolitical, rightfully so, and it can be also, younger generations coming up in the country. I mean, just to give you an example, in Shenzhen, where the Barretts are, I mean, a very, very youthful city. I mean, massive population at a young age there. I'm just going to tip over to this super chat that we got here. It seems that we haven't quite answered this, Matt, and I just want you to take this another level here, Matt. Is this coming in from your your channel, Matt?
That's my channel, Corrupted.
Okay, can you let's put this to rest here.
He's done two $50 super chats as well. I mean, he's corrupting my channel with dollar bills. It's raining. You're making it rain, Corrupted.
Yeah, but he wants this.
You should be wearing a G-string.
You guys. Okay, let's go on this one.
Okay. If you want to improve your Chinese speaking and live chilled life, then China is going to be just what the doctor ordered. Pick yourself up a nice Chinese wife or girlfriend, and have nice chats with a cup of coffee, and or surround yourself with Chinese people. I'm not trying to say you come here and find Chinese girlfriend, but you're going to come here, you're going to integrate, and the language is going to pick up over time. So yeah, come on back after this whole restrictions are lifted. But when do you guys think that the restrictions are going to be lifted from the West to come here?
They're starting to happen. They're doing sort of deals with countries based on how bad. So South Korea have a deal, Germany now have a deal. There was I think it's Singapore or Malaysia. So as long as these people get tested within 72 hours of their flights leaving, they can come. I just want to go back to the sort of war thing. I also don't think there'll be a hot war. I think the war will be fought over technology, because technology is what will advance a country, both technology-wise and economically. And if you look at all the companies that America has added to this so-called entity list, they're all in industries where China is seen to be leading. So, or at least on a similar level with the US. So you've got telecommunications, AI, face recognition, and drone technology, and that they make up a majority of the companies that are on these entity lists. And interestingly, those are all the sort of technologies of the future. And something really interesting, I was very lucky enough to be invited along to the Huawei headquarters here in Shenzhen, in Bantian, earlier this week. And they have an exhibition center there where they showcase the sort of technology. And I was seeing some stuff that, I mean, I'm very much a follower of technology. I keep up to date on it. But some of the stuff I saw there just completely blew my mind. And they showed us this sort of smart city sort of software. project that they've got, and it's actually been implemented live in Shenzhen. And it was just absolutely amazing. They can detect car accidents and automatically dispatch the services to that accident. They're monitoring all sorts of things, population movement, where the traffic hotspots are, where, you know, temperatures and pollutions, and all this is feeding into this central system. And I can't remember the exact figures, but since they implemented this system, crime has been cut by 30% because they can react to situations before they kind of escalate. And I was just absolutely gobsmacked at some of the technology that they were showcasing. And we were talking to one of the guys there, and he was saying that they're actually working on stuff 5 years ahead. So the stuff they're implementing today, they were working on 4 to 5 years ago. And what they're currently working on is what you'll see in another 5 years' time. So, you know, they really are. And that's why I think this war will be fought over technology. Now, as a thing about China responding, I see the US and the other Five Eyes nations, they make very knee-jerk reactions to the situation. Whereas the way I would see it is China plays much more of a strategic game, a game of chess. And like we've mentioned earlier, like Alex mentioned earlier, they could hit back China very easily. They could stop shipping rare earth materials, which would be a massive thing. They could stop Apple, you know, selling phones here. But they look at it, and I think China look at it, they don't want to shoot themselves in the foot. And I think by the US doing what they're doing, they will end up, you know, they are stopping the American consumers from buying some of the best technology by doing what they're doing. So, you know, very soon Americans are not going to be able to buy DJI drones. They can't buy Huawei phones. You know, so I think ultimately it will put the American public at a disadvantage. Anyway, I've spoken enough. So back to you, Alex.
Yes, and we have a you know, an interesting thing that's been put up here on the screen, and I just want to chat about that. Economically, we saw last week that Germany and China are very tied as economies. We export a lot to China and vice versa, raw materials and even parts or finished products. Yeah, Angela Merkel was making a comment. I don't know if anybody on the panel recognized one of her comments this week, that for the first time, they feel that they want to kind of put a little bit more energy into that relationship. And I think,
I saw that too.
I think that that's the approach that I'm, you know, we're desperately trying to explain to people that, you know, instead of, you know, putting these countries, you know, offside with each other, if you can work with them economically, and, you know, to help your point out as well, Alex, the consumer is probably going to be needed more than ever to pull these economies out of the disaster that they're in.
Absolutely.
So if you got two amazing trading, go ahead, Alex. Yep.
I don't think that like an actual full-out war, the chances of an actual war that you call it hot war is very, very small, because at the minute, in my opinion, all the countries are so invested in each other. There's so many things which nowadays in modern life that everybody helps out, like on like a military level, on like a government level, on like consumerism, like factory levels. There's so much in each other's countries that nobody wants to go to war because of what it would actually mean and all of the stuff that would need to be brought back out of other countries. There's also things like all the nukes nowadays. I think if you look back when there was actual hot wars, there was a lot less of that going on, and there was a lot less invested in each other. So now at the minute, also with that and with nuclear war, everybody's sitting around kind of like nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all. And also for things like with the Cold War, for example, it's never going to be like that. Like 100% never going to be like that. Like Lee said, it's going to be 100% all technology. And that is because, you know, like it's a different world. When the world that was there when the Cold War was on, no smartphones, I don't know, there was internet, but like, you know, like pretty crappy was it, I think. So the world has changed now. It's a completely different beast. And so the war or the techniques of this kind of situation have also evolved to the point where everything is ones and zeros now. People can do everything from their smartphone, from their home. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. Even if you are out of like a phone signal area, you have satellite phones now. Everything is remote. Nothing is as upfront. I would think the chances of ever having a hot war, say like a World War II style thing, it's so remote that I don't think it would happen.
Interesting point. Okay, so
wow, he dropped out at the perfect time.
Yeah,
he finished. He's like, I'm out.
You're done.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
Go.
So what I would like to to once again to all the viewers that are joining us, and thank you everybody for your super chats, and they mean a lot to us. And we will put up a code here shortly in regards to the WeChat donation link that will come up in a moment. Hang in there, Alex. I'm just going to be making another point here. Today is the first day that I've actually really started to look at my my ongoing chat while the show is going on. Usually, when you're trying to host the show, you don't really have much time to look at it. And I'm seeing a lot of banter back and forth. China and U.S. and this country could do this and this country could do that. We have a panel of 5 people here today, and we are open to answering your questions. And I think it's important that the audience understands that we all have different views here, and most of us are in China right now, and we're trying to give you a perspective of what China is all about. Now, that doesn't mean that we're anti-American or pro-China or anti-Canadian or anti-British. I could be told I'm pro-Thailand because I'm in Thailand, and 2 months ago I could be pro-Maldives because I was in the Maldives. So it's more of we're trying to really help people understand, like the topic today, Cold War, is it possible? This panel has just kind of gone through some statistics. We've gone through some likelihoods. Is it possible? We've come to the conclusion that it's not going to be, and I like that term, a hot war. And I think it's going to be more played out economically. But it's interesting how this does play out in the press. I think the press ramps this up a little bit more than needs to be, because we didn't really see a response from China after being kind of dragged out there and told that some stuff's going to be happening in Hong Kong. It was just kind of silence. Maybe Lee, you could tell us maybe how China deals with things like that when they're kind of put in the spotlight. And you're the king of the CV stuff. You did about 2 months of that stuff in detail. And I'm going to go to Matt after this too. But tell us, how does China deal with problems like the COVID? Shouldn't mention that shit. And and how do they deal with it? How do they deal with it?
They dealt with it extremely well. They put things into place, and I think the difference, or one of the big differences, because there's a lot of central control, so they can quickly get logistics operations in. There's what you find in West is that the government are always arguing amongst themselves, so things don't get done. Where you don't get that here. You get people, they will get on with it. So, once they've got sort of logistics organized, and where the epicenter was in Wuhan, of course, they have a huge amount of resources that they relatively quickly ship to that area. As you see, they built sort of hospitals and sort of what do they call, sort of centers to put less ill patients in. So basically, that anybody with COVID, they took out of the community to stop community spread. And I just don't think the Western nations have the capability and capacity to do that. China have a huge amount of resources they can call on very, very quickly. And the second point, I think, is that if you look at the general public here in China, they will tend to obey what they're told to do more. So you get much less of this sort of rebelliousness against what the authorities tell them to do. And I think that's a culture thing. I think they have this feeling, or a majority of them have this feeling that, okay, the government will always act in our best interest, so we should follow what they say. I see, you've only got to look at the lockdown in the UK when there's many people flouting that lockdown, going to parks, going to beaches. You didn't have that here. Everybody stayed in their homes. They took notes of what they were being told. There was a couple of times where I did go out and it was just like a deserted place. And we actually have a couple of videos on that. And I've never known it so, devoid of people out there. And I don't see that happening the same in the Western countries. The people were still gathering, they were having parties, they were going to beaches, parks. So I think that's something that's really, really important. It's not just what the government did, it's the people as well.
Good point, Lee. And I kind of want to add to that story because I have last night, while preparing for the show, I was reading about, and thank you, Caliber Wings, for your contribution. That's an interesting question, but we'll see if we can get that later. Wesley, if you can put a couple more of the super chats up so we can work through them. You guys keep up the good work for neutrality and the fact telling. Thank you, Leon, for that. Simon Barnes has a super chat for me, and Lee, also, if you could keep your super chats in queue so we can address them in about 5 minutes. We'll get to all of them because Ollie's giving me a heads up. And Simon Barnes put China, no war, 70 years. Can they win a hot one now? I think, Simon, we have kind of addressed that. We don't think there's going to be a hot one. JK, people government need to start accepting that dictatorship and democracy can both exist and succeed. What an interesting way to look at that. This can reduce the likelihood of a Cold War.
I'd just like to say that I don't actually think China is a dictatorship.
I gotta go, guys.
Okay, Matt, thank you very much. Matt, I'll take those videos later.
Can I just real quick? Just real quick. So I had somebody give me a super chat earlier. We kind of ignored it, not intentionally. I think it was just too busy. It was a Great Irish Bull said reports that China covered numbers. Is there any truth here? I think he was kind of digging at the covering of COVID. I think that right now I'm going to a resort, like a hotel for my daughter and her graduation from preschool, which is wild. And I'm going to go there without worry, without concern for the virus. Yesterday, I went to a huge party. Alex, you can run that video when I finish and just kind of show that. Because if you think that China is covering numbers, they might have in the very beginning. And I don't want to speak for an entire country. I think there's numbers being covered up all over the place. There's all sorts of stuff. But the proof is in the pudding. And my life here is very normal. Ningbo has not had a case in months. And the lifestyle reflects that. So if there's a case in Ningbo, the whole city will respond accordingly, just like Lee said. So have there been cases that have been lost? Of course. But I think for the most part, life reflects the current situation with regards to the virus. So that's it. I gotta go, guys. I have an interesting video about world peace. If you want to take a look at that, it's a very long diatribe, but I think I got the words I wanted to say out. And
I'm going to be playing two clips. Well, clip one of you at the dinner, and the second clip is which, Matt? What's it about, the second clip?
Which one? What's the name of the second one?
It's called Do It.
Do It. That's the world peace one. Pretty much sums it up in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys want to watch, thank you very much, Matt. If you want to watch these videos, I'm just going to play these clips now. Thanks, Matt. I'm going to play these clips.
How was the quality? How was the quality of the video? Did I improve?
Fantastic.
I think I improved.
Very good.
All right, guys. Go to one of the other channels and join their chat if you're on Jayo, because I'm going to close down. So help these guys out, and I will talk to you later.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers.
I just want to quickly say something about the comment about dictatorship. China is in no way a dictatorship. They have a huge committee at the top. This business about people thinking that Xi Jinping just makes all these decisions on his own and that it's just bullshit. The government, the top panel of government, which there are many. They will talk things through. They will get the opinions of academics. They will get sort of research kind of group things, and they'll form the policies from that. And this is why I believe, and I really do believe this, that a lot of the decisions the government do make are for the benefit of the majority of the people. Of course, there's going to be some pissed off that they're not happy with those policies, but you get that everywhere. You know, you can't please all of the people all of the time. But to think they're a dictatorship, I think is completely wrong.
I think that's the big misunderstanding here. Going to you, Alex, and then I'm going to Guelo after this.
I think he was talking about the United States.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, because it's a police authoritarian state a bit at the moment there, isn't it? You know, and I heard Kim Iverson did a really good video, and she actually mentions authoritative police state about 3 or 4 times in that video of 20 minutes or a half an hour. So that's really interesting.
You start shooting, or you start looting, we'll start shooting. You know, and when you can move a group of people using police and rubber bullets and tear gas across the street, so you can go stand in front of a church with the Bible upside down and backwards for a photo op. Is that not dictatorship? You know what I mean?
Well, I think, yeah, but
yeah,
you know what
I
would like
to,
what I would like to have on the show eventually is, you know, here's where we are, guys. We can continue to try to bridge the gap between both nations that have a massive misunderstanding on certain things. And I think at one time in the near future, we need to bring somebody, you know, on this program that can, you know, say to us what maybe we're missing, because, you know, we're not all 100% right on things. Of course not. So it would be good to, you know, yeah, except you, Guelo, right? So to bring somebody on the show that,
come on,
you know,
now, let me
hold on, Kurt. And what I mean by that is, you know, and I'm going to Lee's point about Kim Iverson. If you can bring, you know, a couple of people that one has more of a China focus and really understands how China operates from the government level, and then one from the American side to really tell us how you know, the political the politics work in America. That would, you know, this show is, we're trying to get people to really understand the gap. Yes, we can continue to throw swords at both sides, but what I'm trying, and this whole program is about trying to really factually educate, be an open platform for people that you know, that don't know it. Like, you know, Lee's point, a lot of people don't understand the structure of how China is set up on the government side. They just don't. And they use beautiful words like communist government. If you've ever heard when somebody says communist government, they say communist government. They don't understand it's the Communist Party. Okay, Alex, you want to get in on this? I'm going to you, Kurt.
Yeah,
right after.
Yeah, we touched on this in the live stream on Wednesday night, but I said I basically said to anybody that didn't want it that when you say China is a communist country, by definition it can't be a communist country, because communism doesn't allow capitalism, and capitalism is rife in here. Capitalism has really taken off in China. People are great at making money here, and so by definition it can't be communist, because that's it's like calling a shoe a car. It doesn't work. The definition isn't right. It doesn't work like that. And totalitarian, this is something that really annoys me, and I get a lot on Facebook and YouTube. People saying it's a totalitarian dictatorship, making out like China is this kind of country where the government is constantly beating down on its people, and they were like, you know, they all live in fear of the government. And it's like, you go outside and you're like, well, there's a guy in a Ferrari. If that's being like oppressed, I want to be oppressed. It's not that at all.
Kurt.
Well, you know, we did hear about a month and a half ago, we did a show, and we were saying that we're open to other people and other understandings coming on the show. And we did get a call from Winston Serpenzier, and he said, we'd like to be on your show. And I thought, oh, okay. And so I set up a tentative date for them for July 4th, because I thought it would be fitting, July 4th, you know, guys from California and Chinese people, and do a debate on, you know, how our opinions are changed by our experiences in China. So when I sent it to them, then they backed down, because I don't know why. there was a couple of excuses. So it's not that we're not willing to debate people on the show, but then again, there's some trolls out there that what I consider really good shows on YouTube. People that don't do a bunch of hit pieces, stuff like that. So we're still looking for those people out there that do want to be on the show, because Winston and Lao 86 decided that it wasn't in their best interest to be on the show. So I think the idea that you know what I mean. It's we're not shunning the other side. It's just nobody's really approached us to be on the show that has the quality to be on the show and the understanding.
But I think, Kurt, to be fair to everybody, I think, it's trying to find, and I think there's a possibility that those two will come on the show. I just think that if we can find, an equal ground where, you're going to have such drastic opposing views, which I'm fine with. And I think you're fine with, and Lee and Alex, you're fine with.
No big deal.
Let me just speak this out. So if we can find a common ground where the show will stay polite, and I think that we can have an open discussion and an adult discussion with everybody, I think everybody would be open to that. I even think they would be open to that. But I think it's both sides that we're kind of both. I'm not sure if anybody really wants to go and, have a full out, blowout in front of everybody. I mean, am I wrong on this? Unless I'm.
No, I think you're right.
I think you're right on it. I don't think. I don't think we would go there.
Screaming or shouting match. Everybody's adults.
So that's. I think let's give that a little bit of time, and maybe we can gear that up. I think even the audience. I get some people say, "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" And no, I want this platform.
I got that a lot.
I know.
Okay, so I know somebody who is a Chinese and he has some differing views, but I think that the thing that would make him nervous is a guy we did an interview with, a guy named Simon Yu. And when we spent a day with him, and I found him to be quite a reasonable guy. But when we did an interview with him, put him on the channel, he got quite attacked by a lot of Chinese people. I think maybe because he's still kind of young and they thought that he might be a bit naive to politics. But, I had a conversation. I don't judge him for his views. He has his views. I have my views. He's actually married to a Taiwanese woman, which is in itself quite interesting. But I think it's important that we engage with these people who have a different view. Because, otherwise we become the same as those kind of, haters in a way that we won't accept any other view. So I think it's really important. And, we did that interview and I think unfairly he got quite a lot of negativeness in our comments, which was a bit of a shame, really. I think people need to accept, although they think his views are not correct, they should still give him a platform to be heard.
And I think that's important. Kurt, you have the ability to communicate with them, and perhaps in the near future we can reach out again and we can reach out and really, because I think it's healthy for everybody here. It keeps us both on our toes here. It makes us get back into the research, and sometimes we do miss things. We obviously do. I just want to address the super chat from Nini. China is socialism and capitalism. Canada is the real communist country. I believe that she lives in Canada, and she can make that comment. So it's interesting. Go ahead, Alex.
I think what would be fun is this has been something which I've been kind of thinking about for the last couple of weeks. Something I thought would be fun for haters, especially, is because I think a lot of the people that are hating, especially here on YouTube in comment sections, all this kind of stuff, I don't think this is maybe they have these feelings, but I don't think that people. I think conversations would be a lot different in person. I thought it would be hilarious if we just got all of our haters and organized like a Central China haters meetup. Everybody come, all the haters come. And we'll sit around the table, get some beers, see how the conversation goes with that, because I think it would be a whole lot different.
You know what we can do, and I'm going to float this idea to the panel right now. We can maybe have a moderated all in Zoom call-in where we bring all these people in, and they could be both sides of it. I'm open to that. Maybe that might be a good time to bring the other gentleman on the program, Kurt, where we'll have both audiences, and maybe 50 from that side, 50 from that side. I mean, it's going to take a bit of moderating, but I'm sure Wesley can handle that. So, I mean, if we get all those people on the show, that would be very, very, very interesting. That would be very interesting. I just want to bring up a note, guys, and I'm not trying to change the topics here. There's a study done in British Columbia, Canada, and where I'm originally from, on the West Coast, and it was done by the, I guess, members of the health board, and they were commenting, and this is pretty interesting. It was they were talking about that they were able to find out where the virus originated from, and the details were quite surprising. They were doing it based on genetic analysis, and I could probably pull this up. Wesley, did I send you a link from the Vancouver Sun newspaper? Can you bring that up? And Bruce, how about Nathan Rich? We'll get to that in a minute. We'll chat about that. So this article, while I was trying to sleep last night, never sleep well before these shows because I'm always worried about getting up late and missing them. So if we could slowly just scroll through this. This is an extraordinary story. This really tells the tale of on what happens here. It's an interesting story. And Lee, this is something I think that you're going to find very interesting for your program. And Kurt, this is something that I can understand why you didn't fly back to Canada during this. But it shows at an early stage what happened in Canada, the developments, because they're going back now. Instead of moving forward on this, they're trying to trace the steps back on how this originated. And they said, yes, of course, the early cases started from China. And but China, they were saying, hey, they alerted them, and they managed to keep it under control. And now the new, and it's an extraordinary story to read, the new genetic analysis is saying that all the cases now that are coming into Canada are from Europe, and they're coming in from certain pockets which could have been blocked at an earlier time. So it shows that some of the social distancing, or a lot of the social distancing, did make sense. And I'll tell you, being in Asia at that time, within days, no, I'm going to say within hours, we knew there was a problem. I mean, Kurt and I put a video out a long time ago. We knew. A long time ago, yeah. A long time ago. It might have been even in the first week of February. And people were already wearing masks, and people were already, the word social distancing was running wildfire here. And it's amazing. Thailand, where I'm at right now, where Kurt came, I was supposed to be going to Nanning, but Kurt came here, and Thailand has 4 times more tourists than North America. And we've managed to escape it with only 60 deaths and maybe 4,500 infections. And we haven't had any infections in the last almost 2 months. So it shows that I think there's just that's one of the things that I want to bring on this program again about, there's this massive blame game from China, but then there's also a responsibility of other nations that have it right now. And I'm going to go Barrett, then I'm going to go Guelo, then I'm going to go Alex, okay? In that order. All right, be ready. Fine. Here we go. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, so okay, just to reinforce that, this if you look at the governor of New York, because Trump made a great big thing about that, he'd stopped flights from China early, and that had really helped. Well, actually, according to what the New York governor had said, that actually didn't help that much, because all the sort of investigation they did was that a majority of their cases came from Europe, not from China. So, again, it points to this sort of thing that, they weren't sort of doing what they needed to do. And like Alex just said, they were in my eyes, they were far more serious about the social distancing and lockdown of movement and and lockdown of businesses in Asia than they were in the Western nations. And that's obviously contributed a lot to how fast. I mean, I'll be honest, I had the impression, because of the amount of Chinese tourists that go to Thailand, I thought, oh my God, Thailand, they're going to be hit massively.
Yeah, I was concerned.
And yet they haven't been, because they took it very seriously. I mean, I've been watching a couple of other YouTubers over there, and everything's been completely closed down for a long, long time, and there's been nobody out and about. And if you contrast that to the West, where a lot of the people like, oh, we'll just go to the beach, it'll be okay. We'll just go to the park. We'll just have some parties. And you can just see the difference in numbers and cases in Southeast Asian countries compared to Western countries. I think that tells its own story.
Yeah, I mean, Lee, thanks for sharing that. Kurt, I'm going to you now.
Okay. Hey, before I get started, I'd like to thank a couple of people. Alex, I only have the word Alex, so I'm not sure whether it was Alex from Reporter 5 Media or Alex from Alex Absolute or another Alex. Thank you very much. Arthur Larson, Lee Wu, is a CV real? And a lot of people are still saying that it's real. 100,000, air flights, border that you can't get across. Of course, it's real. It is real. And Francisco Rivera, of course, Francisco, he's been 3 times on the channel giving me super stickers, super chats. Thank you very much, friend. Rob GTI 180. The answer to that, Rob, is no. And I won't even say the guy's name on the channel here. Simon Ning, Leon C, TL, Chenry 08, and Bruce Liu about Nathan Rich being on the show. I've reached out to Nathan a couple times and he hasn't got back to me. So if you're a watcher of Nathan Rich's, bug him. Tell him he's doing it. Spam his channel.
Nah.
Get him to give Guayla a call.
Guys,
everybody tweet him.
I did get some concerns about, some people said some things, why would you bring this guy on the program? And I think, Lee, you and I spoke about it this week. I think he's been quite transparent about what kind of issues he's dealt with. And Alex, I'm going to come to you. I just have to bring this up because you guys brought Nathan's name up. So, Lee, can you just kind of maybe tell us, you know what comment I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. So basically, what happened? A number of sort of YouTubers. He's obviously, he defends China, and there's no right with that. His videos are very, very factual. They're very, very good. To put those together is pretty impressive. But you've had these other YouTubers attack him, saying, "Oh, he's a criminal. He's a druggie. Has felons." And this guy, he actually did a video on his channel, telling people quite plainly why he did that. And he was in a very different stage of his life at that time, and he's changed. He's got himself a good job. He's done that, and he lives here in China, so he experienced it. So he just shows that, look, China is not such a bad place. And I think it's disgraceful of these YouTubers that attack him on his past. Many people have things that they did in their life when they were younger that they probably regret now. But, to try and hold that against him, saying, oh, he's a criminal and blah, blah, blah. I think that's just disgraceful, and I think a lot of those YouTubers were just doing it to try and get traffic based on putting his name in the title and things like that, Okay, he's a kind of guy, he's very intense, but, don't knock him for something that maybe happened 15 or 20 years ago. We've all made mistakes in our life, and I think those YouTubers are kind of a bit disgraceful to do that.
Well, thank you for adding that comment. Alex Absolute, over to you, sir.
I've got so involved in what Lee was saying, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say myself.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah. So where were we? someone throw me a line.
Give him some guidance, Guayla. Where were we?
I have no idea, Alex.
You guys
are you picking on me now? I know you.
Alex, what's your thoughts on Nathan Rich? Yeah, give me your thoughts.
For me, Nathan Rich is kind of my opinions changed quite a lot. When he first came out, I was like, I do not like this guy because he was kind of viciously attacking, and like for me, no matter what your point is, if you're being too vicious about things, I'm not really behind that. And one point which actually New Moves helped me, which actually explained to me, and like for me, I'm a guy that if I'm wrong, I will just openly say I'm wrong. Like I guess all of us are the same on this panel. Like everybody makes mistakes or gets the wrong idea sometimes, and sometimes you can't. As soon as you realize, you're like, it's a mark of a person when they can say I was wrong, and you can hold your hands up and say, you know, I made a mistake. And like for my point wasn't anything to do with his content originally, why I didn't like him. It was because people were billing him. I thought people were billing him as the owner of a VFX company. And he was claiming he did all this VFX stuff. And I was like, but the quality of his videos doesn't match the quality of somebody who has a VFX channel. If you look at someone like Andrew, I'm studying, like teaching myself VFX at the minute. And there's a guy, Andrew Kramer, who runs Video Copilot, huge thing. They've done like Star Wars, some stuff on the new Mandalorian stuff. And his channel it's night and day between Nathan's and that. And I think, I was like, well, this guy, I've always been brought up to be, if you're going to tell me something, you've got to be honest. I don't like dishonest people. I don't care if you have a different opinion to me. Different opinions are what make life interesting. We're not all going to be the same. That's just a fact of life. But if people are dishonest, and so I thought he was being dishonest regarding the whole his Wikipedia page. But as New Moves explained to me, he works for a VFX company, but he's like the software guy that does coding and stuff. So it's actually nothing to do with the videos. And to be fair, I was like, okay, yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong about that. And since then, I've watched a whole bunch of his videos, and he makes some really good points. He makes points that I can actually relate to. And I've posted on his videos before in the last month or so, saying, you know what, I agree with this. So it shows how much sometimes it's easy for us to get, sometimes we all get a little bit blinkered, but I've seen that I was wrong, and I've altered. So yeah, that's my opinion as far as Nathan Rich. I think he's all right, man.
So guys, I'm going to play a couple of. Go ahead, Kurt. Go ahead.
I agree. When Nathan first started making videos, and he did that really trashy one against Serpent ZA, I thought, what an asshole, you know what I mean? And I actually made a video to that effect and called it garbage. But as you watch his newer stuff, you sort of get an idea of who this guy is. And he came from a really rough background. He had a poor childhood dealing with Scientology and all of the bad things that can happen to a kid. And he actually came out of it and made something of himself. So although I think he started out his YouTube career on the wrong foot, and this is for a lot of you little trolls out there, you can always change and come back on the right foot. Nathan is a perfect example of that. He started coming out, he started doing his batch videos, he started doing things that maybe got him a lot of haters, but then he turned it around and he started putting out very good quality, as Lee said, very informative. He's done his homework on these videos, and now the guy is very popular in the Chinese forum more than anywhere else, because he is about as pro-Chinese as Guelo 60. But so there is that I actually approve of a lot of stuff Nathan Rich puts out now, where I never thought I would.
That's an interesting point. We do get a lot of people saying, have them on, don't have them on, have them on, don't have them on. I mean, I understand that, but once again, with the seeing it from a different perspective, that's the beautiful thing about coming to these shows and commenting. Guys, I have a question for everyone. We still have Matt's channel with us, and Matt's gone, but so you are still welcome on our channels to join. I did send a message out to Matt saying that we would take care of everyone in his chat. So Jerry from This Is China, if you're moderating, if you could maybe move over to Matt's, or if anybody knows that we have moderators that could also follow Matt's comment section. I'm just waiting to get another message from Matt. He just said his stream's open without him. I think that's okay, Matt, but just watching my WeChat, if you want me to close down your feed, I can, no problem, but I think everybody's enjoying it. So just let me know, Matt, if you're hearing or watching the show, or if one of you guys can send him a message just telling him that we don't want to pull the plug on his audience, because you can still be part of the show but not be part of the show. And here's how we're going to do it. We've got a couple of clips that I want to show that Matt was talking about beforehand. And let me just, Wesley, if we can pull back on that, and I'm just going to show 2 videos. Here's the first video, and this is for Matt's audience and our audience. And if you want to view this video, you can go to Matt's channel after. Here we go.
The only way that a lot of people can gain an understanding if they want to, and that's the other thing. A lot of people don't want to. They're very content in their bubbles. But if they want to travel, go into the world. Don't listen to what you deem as fake news. Don't listen to what you deem as true news. See it and do it for yourself. Don't let anybody else tell it to you, like me. Don't listen to me. Go out there and do it.
Okay, well, that's one video. Pretty cool. And here's the second one that we're going to go. So from all of us behind the backstage, we can't see these videos that he's playing, but they do appear on our channels. They just mute us when we play them. So here we go. I'm playing the second clip from Matt.
You want to go to where they're making the food? No? Where do you want to go?
Go find Xiao Xiao.
Oh, I know where Xiao Xiao is. The traditional passing out of the cigarettes, China style.
Well, guys, I don't know if you saw that, but quite an interesting little video there. Just, you know, Guelo, did you see that, or was it dark on your screen there?
Well, I had my video or my mic muted, so I have a thing right in the center. But yeah, well, it looked like a Chinese wedding, actually.
But isn't that great? I mean, that guys must remind you, you know, just a lot. I
mean, you know, almost every weekend we get together with my partner's family. So there'll be her brothers and sisters and her parents and grandparents, and we go out for a meal, and everybody's sharing, everybody's, you know, I feel that is a bigger thing here in China, the whole family thing, than it is in the West. They're very close here, family are, and they will always help each other. You know, there's a real community within families here.
Yeah, there's definitely family here. I'm not comparing and saying it's better than in the West, but it's a different structure, and they are very much more supportive. Like members of my wife's family, they wanted to help one of my wife's cousins, so they all banded together and they bought them a house. You just wouldn't have that back in England. Everything kind of really does stick together here, but that video that Matt just played, or the video from Matt, is a very familiar scene. It's so often you have stuff for moving in a house, you treat people, you have stuff at Spring Festival, and more importantly, isn't Ava just a whole bucket of cute? Like she's been in like a couple of his recent videos, and she's just like she just makes you melt almost. She's super cute. It's a credit to Matt for sure.
Just going to address a super chat here from Francisco Rivera. Wait, what Chinese music do you listen to, or do you listen
Do
you listen to your own country music like me? I listen to Mexican music, but never Chinese music. You know, Kurt, you have to add. You have
Aerosmith.
Nathan Rich debunks Western media lies with facts, but now he can hardly do it because all is live. Interesting. So, Guelo, you are the king of the. What would it be? You love going to your what was it? Nonstop beer and nonstop
barbecue.
Foods.
Barbecue.
Yeah. What barbecue is it, Alex, that he goes to? I think your
Brazilian
microphone's a little bit.
Isn't it?
Is it the Brazilian barbecue?
Brazilian barbecue.
I love those.
Every
Put your hand up. Who's had a conversation with
barbecue.
Kirk where he's just said, "Sorry, gotta go barbecue time."
Yeah. I like my beers. I like my barbecues. And Francisco Rivera. I don't listen to Chinese music unless my wife has it on her cell phone. I'm more of the 60s, 70s rock type thing from Creedence Clearwater Revival to I don't know, Marshall Tucker Band to, you name it. It really doesn't matter. To AC/DC, I listen to
AC/DC.
I listen to AC/DC, of course.
AC/DC, Metallica.
To the panel here, to the panel here, you guys. I have an interesting thing that you might want to try next time. Kurt came to my house in Bangkok when the initial lockdown was happening. And we were here, I believe, also with Tim K. And I was here with Tim as well. But we had what it was called a Spotify speed round. Now, what that means is basically you can't use Google. You gotta sit in front of a chair, type in a song. You can decide if it's 70s, 80s, 90s, one-hit wonder music. And you get off that chair and then you start the countdown timer, and to see how many songs that you can get through before that guy gets ejected. So I mean, it's kind of fun. I would like it to be a game because I mean it's quite good. So Mr. Rivera, thank you very much for those comments. Guys, I'm going to go around the round table here, and you guys can take the stand here for a couple of minutes if you need somebody to thank, or if you need some more airtime, please take it. And we'll end off with me because I got some exciting stuff I want to tell you guys. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Oh, we're going. Too late, Barrett. We're going to Guelo first. And then we're on to you.
Okay. So what do I have going on in the next little bit? Well, China Radio International is taking Gui Lao and Wei Fong, his lovely wife, on another 4-day vacation over to the Vietnamese border. We're going to be doing some tourist videos. We're going to hit Da Tian Falls. We're going to be staying in the middle of the Karst Mountains of Guangxi province in cabins. Oh, this will be nice. You got the lakes and you got the Karst Mountains, and it's picturesque. And I think we might even be doing some rafting down the river between Vietnam and China. So we're going to be doing this we're going to leave on the 14th and come back on the 18th. So just about 5 days. It's going to be something interesting to watch. So that's what I'm doing starting next Sunday. And
are you taking your camera, Kurt? Are you taking your
camera? I'm taking my camera, and we're taking actually a camera crew on this one. So this is going to be an interesting week. But
Kurt, before you move on, you're not going to sell out to Netflix, are you? Like, we're not going to have to start paying to watch stuff.
I'm still waiting for Hollywood to call. But they haven't called. Maybe they don't know how to call China. And I got to apologize for my feed today because I know it was really sketchy. My internet's not working very good, and I just got it upgraded. So maybe the next time I do one of these, I'll whip over because I'm on a laptop. I'll whip over to my desktop. It runs a lot faster and it seems to be a lot cleaner. So I'll have a different background, and maybe Wei Fong's dad be scuffling around in the background. Hey, it's better than having a sketchy internet.
So basically, what Guelo was saying that he will next week he will try a new location in the house, probably with a LAN connection because he did upgrade this especially for the show. And Wei Feng's father's around there, so we might see him incognito or not. Who knows? Going on to the Barretts and Guelo, was there any last super chats that you had to say thank you for? Did we miss everybody?
Lee Rouet and Francisco Rivera. Lee Rouet, he's a Nathan Rich fan. Nathan Rich debunks Western media lies with facts, but now he can hardly do it because all is a lie. Well, coming out of some American politicians, both in mainstream media, I actually believe that. I think it's all rhetoric, and it's all in a ploy to get Trump reelected, and it's sad. Francisco Rivera, my wife is Vietnamese. Well, maybe we'll meet her on the border, I guess. Hopefully.
Well, Guelo, thank you for that, Kurt. Thank you for that, Kurt. And I'm going to go on to Lee. Lee, the floor is yours.
Okay, so first of all, let me just do a super chats and super stickers. So a big thank you to Eric NG, MW Lee 1984, TL, Nini, Arthur Larson, and Fat KY. Fat KY says, please discuss how we can help bring the US and China on the same side or try to combat disinformation. Maybe collaborate on a book. Ideas. Okay, so that is what we do try and do, and I think we've tried to some extent to sort of do that today. So now on to things. Oh, I'd also just like to give a shout out to Quantum Alchemist. He's a guy that I believe tunes in from Germany, and that's really appreciated because the time there in Germany is really pretty early hours of the morning. Maybe he's in a different part of the world, but I thought he was in Germany. And I'd just like to say, yeah, Germany, as we've mentioned, are really sort of a shining beacon out there in the way they are trying to deal with China. They're looking at it sort of much more level-headed than most other countries. And now on to what we've done and what we're doing. So we put a video out yesterday, which is not seeing so much love at the moment, so go over and have a look. It's a really great video. We had a sort of Robot Wars game at DJI have like a playground here in Shenzhen, and we went and sort of played this Robot Wars game, and it was super cool. I didn't play because I'm a bit older and I'm not as quick at it, but Ollie really enjoyed himself. And coming up, Ollie's got a video coming up out on Monday about Western media manipulation, and then over the course of the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks, we've got some really exciting things coming up. So first off, we're going up to Shanghai to do the opening of the Huawei flagship store in Shanghai, and then immediately after that, and this is something that Alex is involved in, we are going off to Chongqing. And we're going to have a cool time there, doing many cool things, visiting some cool places. So we're going to be doing that. And then after that, Ollie is going to Qinghai and Inner Mongolia. That's without me, unfortunately. He's going there with his girlfriend. He chose her over me, and I'm really disappointed about that. As many people on our channel think we're some sort of couple. They don't realize we're father and son. So they think we're some sort of couple. And then the last thing I want to mention, I've been talking to Alex absolutely about us maybe teaming up for a sort of 2 or 3 week cycle trip through some rural areas of China in the autumn. So again, if that comes off, that will be really cool too. So over to Alex Absolute now. Yeah, we got a lot coming up.
Go on, Alex. Thanks for that, Lee.
I mean,
you're welcome.
I mean, how do you follow up on Guelo 60's amazing life?
No doubt about that. Like, I mean, come on, man.
How do I follow up on Kirk's going?
He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
Alex, we're getting
total envy.
We're getting no love. I said to Kurt the other day, man, where's the love, man? And he
where's
says,
our trip to Vietnam? Come on.
He says, come get it. So I'm hightailing my butt up to Nanning very soon. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah,
the floor is yours.
So we'll start off on following on from where Lee said. Me and Lee were just talking, and I've been since I used to do these cycling trips a lot, like not for like 2 weeks at a time, but like say 3 or 4 days at a time. And recently nobody's really either wanted to do them or had time to do them. And then Lee, I just mentioned it to Lee, and like me and Lee were having this like regular conversation. I mentioned it. Lee was super pumped about it, so I was like, "This is great. We can definitely do that." So yeah, I'm hoping we can get something organized for like the late, I guess, autumn time, because I've done it in the summer, and it's just so hot that you're probably gonna die. It's not the easiest thing to do in the summer. Also, we found cobras, which that was kind of scary. So yeah, that is that. Coming up on my channel, I've got some other videos which I've been so like I procrastinated hard these last few weeks, because going back to work is like, it's killing me. After 5 months of not having your commute is from one room to the next, to like actually commuting like 15 kilometers to work every day, plus having 2 children, which I know sounds like a whole bunch of excuses, and basically it is because I'm kind of lazy. But yeah, just getting back into the swing of things. I've got a bunch of videos with a friend of mine, Radio the Artist. He will be on a stream actually with me tomorrow night on Snarky's channel. We got that coming up. That should be an interesting thing, because Snarky is he's a very unique guy, but he's also like an incredible guy. He's a great friend of mine. So that should be fun. And other than that, I guess, like, I don't know, like my life kind of like, I like my life because things just kind of come out of nowhere. And I think some of the best things that you ever do in life are unplanned, when something just pops up and you kind of sporadically do something. So I like the kind of sporadically do things at the same time, as well as having planned stuff. So yeah,
well, it's a pleasure to have you on this program, Alex, and we do appreciate sometimes you have to do it remotely, and we appreciate the effort.
Now, I want to say to the people watching on my channel that unfortunately the last few times I haven't been replying to the comments, and that's because I'm doing this from my mobile phone, because I'm doing this remotely at the moment, because while we're getting back into things, everything's kind of up in the air. So I am a man of my word. I do, and if I say I'm going to be on a show, I'm going to be on a show. In fact, like, the show is fast becoming like one of the most important things in my life. Even my wife was like, she calls everybody on the show here my family, my internet family. So yeah,
we got real world, and then we got our world, remote. I guess. So thank you for that, Alex. On to me. Why not? Let's give it a shot. So tonight, actually, a few hours from now, I'm on This Is China with Jerry. He's having me on as a guest because I have a lot to say. Yes, I'm on my way back to Chongqing, but it won't just be Chongqing. I'm going to be adding city after city after city after city. I will be filming like a madman. What you can expect from me in the next few weeks, we have a few more Chongqing videos that are coming out. And then I will move into my Maldives videos, where I show the 2 different ways to travel to the Maldives. One, to a inhabited island of people from the Maldives that are not well. How the Maldives kind of works is you've got resort islands, and then you've got inhabited islands where most of the Maldivian people live. So I'm showing the contrast in that, and I'm probably going to be, rolling off at least 20 videos from that. So China is my focus here coming up. We got some interesting things going on. I'm definitely going to Nanning. Do not forget, I will be going to see Guelo, and I think I'm going to try to entice him to come to a few cities with me. We will make our way down to. Go ahead, Lee.
I think we should pick a city, and we should all do a meetup. In one city, and go for some beers and shoot some video together. I think that'd be pretty cool.
How about Wuhan?
Sold.
How about Wuhan?
That's not a bad thought.
How about Guilin?
Guilin's good.
Guilin is beautiful.
We can do that, or Wuhan.
Yeah, Wuhan's a good
Wuhan needs some love.
Wuhan will be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Let's think about it. We'll put it to the poll. We'll put it to the poll. But what a great pleasure having you gentlemen on. And Matt, we did get a big donation at the end there from the same gentleman that donated a few times. This one is actually from Martin Peterson. Thank you for the great show. Wanted to send Kurt a donation, but I think I've been banned from sending messages because I used to be a troll, which will stop now. So for unity and a great show. So Kurt, just make a note of Martin Peterson. You can pull him out of the penalty box. And put him back on there. Lee, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I just got a couple of late
It'll
super
cost
chats.
you 150 NP next time.
I just got a couple of late super chats in I need to mention. So Cam 35mm and David Hodges, thank you very much. Oh, just to let you know, I'll be tuning into Alex's show with This Is China later tonight. So looking forward to that. And me and Ollie tomorrow morning on our show, 9 o'clock tomorrow, we have new moves on. So he's a pretty interesting guy.
Interesting.
So tune into that.
Kurt, new moves, huh? He's pretty interesting, eh?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Chinese Canadian, right?
He's a super nice guy.
He's another Canuck, of course. Most people out there are Canadians.
Kurt, do you have any last words to say to the audience before we round it up?
Yeah, Martin, I'll take you out of the penalty box, but it's going to cost you, man.
$150.
Thanks to everybody.
What is NT?
No, that's New Zealand. I believe.
Taiwan.
Taiwan?
New Taiwan.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
new
Well,
Taiwan
thank you
dollars.
everybody for that. You know, we did have some people say to us, you know, does it take money for us to get up on the screen? Listen, we try. You cannot imagine.
It helps.
4 or 5. It helps. Yeah, we have 4 or 5 channels that have thousands of messages rolling through them. I'm going to actually show the audience next week about it because we have thousands of messages come through. So when we see them come through, yes, we highlight them, and you know, that's not to discourage people. You do have a voice here. We have moderators in there, and we all try to tackle all these messages. And that is another great show, guys, today. Very positive vibes coming out of the show today. Everybody hit that subscribe button down below. That's how you support us. Put the big likes in. The algorithm loves that as well. And support all these channels. Watch all these videos. We love doing this for you. The Guelo loves the walk and talks. The Alex Absolute loves his beautiful equipment. And the Barretts come in from all types of angles.
And
you
by
know
Joe,
me,
come on.
I always deliver. And Gio Nation and the rest of the crew. That's it. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. A big goodbye, and have yourself a fantastic night, day, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. Thank you.
Take care.
Goodbye. Take care.
Take care.